Hi everybody, this is audition and voice coach Jessica Neighbor, and I wanted to give you some current feedback because a lot of my performers have been coming into the studio lately with auditions for musical theater. So the topic of today is all about how to get ready for a musical theater audition where you're going to be asked to do your triple threat audition in acting, dancing, and singing. I know that can make a lot of people feel a little freaked out, and I just want to first put you all at ease. Remember, we don't need to be amazing at all three of those things. In fact, typically, when you think about even some of your favorite performers who are on Broadway, they are usually way stronger in one of those three categories. Maybe they are an amazing singer, rapper, Lin-Manuel Miranda, and writer too. Maybe not the best dancer on earth. Maybe they are an incredible vocalist, but also not a great dancer. Maybe they're an amazing dancer and they have smaller vocal range. So remember that even the biggest, brightest Broadway musical theater stars don't necessarily have their triple threats all equally amazing. So first of all, just give yourself permission to not have to be perfect in all three categories. And then let me give you a tip for each of those categories at your auditions, because I know that sometimes it's very overwhelming. So in the first round, generally speaking, when you're going out for a musical theater audition, this could be at your high school, this could be at a local theater company, this could be for a professional theater company. All of the usual general callbacks and auditions are the same. So your first round, you get to choose a song, and you traditionally get to choose a monologue. Now, sometimes they may not have you do a monologue. Sometimes they're just going to have you read something. So you're just going to do your best at doing a cold reading. If you get to have a monologue and a voice piece, you want to choose stuff that is A, going to be the right kind of material for the play or the piece you're going out for. So remember, you got to check your repertoire and think, what makes sense for this musical? I'm working with someone right now. She's a really fun vocalist and actor, and she was going out for a play, and she actually thought that it was this one kind of play. In fact, when she listened to the full score, it was a much more sort of traditional golden era style musical theater piece. She had to go back to the drawing board and find her golden era vocal piece for that production. You don't want to choose stuff typically from the production for the first round of auditions, but you want to pick something that is similar so that they can easily imagine you in a role in this production. So for example, if it is a production of Hairspray, then you want to sing something sort of in that 50s realm, but not exactly You Can't Stop the Beat from Hairspray. You don't want to go in and sing something totally different, like an opera piece from Les Mis. They're not going to know what to do with you for that production. So choose your vocal piece that you know you're good at, but that also complements the audition you're going out for. I can't tell you how many really talented performers I'm working with who are bringing in songs and they're just thinking about what they know, and they're not getting strategic about, wait a minute, does this song make any sense for the production? And think of this first audition as kind of fun because it's your choice, right? You get to pick what you know you're good at. So just try to choose wisely and make sure it's complementing the play. On your acting tip, if you are going to choose a monologue, I also want you to pick something that is similar to a role from this play, right? So if it's a really modern play, like maybe you're doing Chicago, don't go and do a monologue that's Shakespearean. It's not going to make sense to them. Make it very easy for them to imagine you in this production, okay? Now, for the dance section of your first general audition, I do not want you to freak out. I have a lot of, especially vocalists and actors, who are like, oh my gosh, ah! I have a few lucky ones who are really good dancers too, and that's amazing. And I think in time, all of you performers should be taking some dance classes. You can do tons of drop-in dance classes. You can even do YouTube tutorial dance routines. Really, what it comes down to is, can you follow a simple sequence of choreography that they're going to teach to you? It's not going to be too long, and then dance it back to them. Do not worry about trying to be some amazing dancer. Just try to keep the beat, stay in time, and do the best you can. If you are a trained dancer, bring it. But in this case, I just want to reassure those of you who feel like you're a little more of a beginner dancer that really it's about following that sequence and showing them what you can do. Okay? A couple of last tips that I want to just throw out there. If you get a callback, yay, they're going to be calling you back for particular songs and for particular scenes, right? And usually they're going to tell you some of the songs you're going to be singing and some of the scenes you're going to be reading from. This is great news. So they're going to usually give you a section of a song that you're going to want to sing. I want you, from the beginning of knowing about this audition, to start listening to that soundtrack and to think about the top 3 songs that they're more than likely going to call back people and have them sing with. For example, Annie. If you are going out for a general audition for Annie, you know that when they call you back, what are they going to ask you to sing? What are they going to ask you to sing? Tomorrow, Hard Knock Life, and Maybe. So you should be listening to those songs ahead of time, because usually between the general audition and the callback, you might only have a week or a couple of days. So you want to have already studied up on those songs so that you're good to go when they tell you what songs to sing. Doesn't hurt to listen to the whole soundtrack either. You don't have to memorize this stuff. You don't have to master it. Just be familiar. So there's no big surprises for you. And last but not least, do not put the extra burden on yourself to have to memorize your scenes, or what we call sides, right? Basically, they'll give you a page or two to see how you're interacting with the other characters that they're choosing, to see who's got good chemistry, what's their final group they're going to choose. They might have you read for Johnny and then turn around and have you read for Matt. So if you've memorized Johnny's material, you are going to get really confused when they ask you to read for Matt. So I've seen a lot of performers, especially younger ones, think, oh, it'll be so cool if I memorize all of these scenes. Don't do that. You're just going to make yourself crazy, and you're actually adding on more than you need to. I know a lot of you are like really incredible memorizers, and it is a trait that actually is fairly common in performers. We're typically really, really good memorizers. So it's not like this is going to be some special skill that's going to make you stand out. In fact, I just don't want you to take that on. I want you to concentrate more on how you read your lines and how are you going to play off of the other people that they're pairing you up with. So another good thing that you can do in more of a long-term thing is to do an improv class, or just play some fun improv games with your friends, drama improv, so that you can work on being spontaneous and switching into different characters and really working on listening to your scene partners when you're playing off of them in scenes. Now, what this all comes down to when I'm giving you all of this advice is you're going to notice that my method, my coaching for getting ready for auditions is not a do it by the seat of your pants style. I want you prepared. I want you going in there calm and centered and focused. This requires some lead time. This means if you hear about an audition that's coming up in 3 months, 4 months, I want you to start working on that and get some coaching and help sooner than later. It makes it very difficult for us audition coaches if you come in with a super short window. There's only so much we can do for you in that very short amount of time. Typically, what we're going to want to do is work on your material, make sure you've selected the best material, give you notes, have you go home and work on it, change it up a little bit, come back, do it again. And then after a few coaching sessions, it's always super important to do a dress rehearsal audition. So what do I mean by that? I mean that I want you coming in here dressed, with your hair done the way you're considering it, with your audition pieces ready to go, with your headshot and resume, if that's required of you, with your slate ready to introduce, with some answers to some very common judge questions that they may or may not ask you. And we are going to run through your audition, and I'm going to give you some feedback, and we're going to run it again and run it again until you feel so solid about whatever happens in that audition room. So what that requires is some lead time, some planning, some preparation, right? And it's going to be really valuable to you to do that dress rehearsal. The other thing we're going to make sure we're doing with your vocal pieces is either we're going to get a really skilled accompanist to be able to play these for you so that you are familiar with what it's going to be like to sing with a live pianist, or we're going to use music notes, which gives you digital piano accompaniment, but we're not going to stop there. We're going to play that accompaniment at 3 different tempos, because even if you master your count in 1, 2, 3, 4, we all know that there are certain accompanists who have their own tempo in their head, and they are going to be playing at that tempo. Or there's accompanists who are going to be much more rubato about how they're playing your song, and you and them are going to have to be working out your relationship. These are all things that are going to take a little bit of time, but once you put in that time, you are going to feel so much better when you go into your audition. And each time you do this, it's a win for the auditions yet to come. So I hope these tips and this kind of overview of doing a triple threat audition has put you at ease. Remember, you do not have to be perfect at your triple threat. You just want to bring it as much as you can in each of those categories. All right, that was fun. I'm wishing you all to break a leg at your next audition. And until next time, adieu.